So there's definitely a fish down there that's been playing with the bait. I have struck once and struck into thin air, so I'm trying again. But they're being very cheeky, they're being very tentative, they're not easy to hit bites, but I'm feeling through the rod the tap, so it's definitely a fish. It's not anything hitting the line, it's very obviously different movement from what you'd get if anything was just brushing against the line. So it's difficult just knowing how long to wait, whether to wait for a bite to develop or whether to hit as soon as you got the slightest indication. Well, first fish of the day, low 3-pounder. I knew there was a fish down there, very sneaky little blighter. Well, I've been down the river all day and it's coming up to, I don't know, 3:45, 4 o'clock, something like that. I've had one fish about, I don't know, low 3, didn't weigh it. And I've only had 2 bites, and the second fish I've had, I've waited a long time. It's a 5-pounder. Nice 5'4". Lovely. Nice to finally get a decent fish on the bank. It's the biggest of the fish that have been caught by the 3 of us. I'm down with some tench fisher mates on my local stretch that I bailiff, and to be fair, I've got home advantage and I've just stuck at it with the bread flake, and it all came good in the end. Cracking chevin though, eh? Sausages. Anyway, let's put it back and move to another swim. Well, here we are back on the River Thames again. Very quiet. Rarely see another angler down here. And there's some lovely big fat chub. So let's see how it goes. So on my second swim of the day, I did get a small chub out of the first swim I fished. About 2-pounder, didn't weigh it, just put it straight back. I'm fishing with a couple of tench fisher buddies again. And Mr. Armfield has already had a 5'2". So the day has started very strongly, which is great. And hopefully it means there's a few more fish to be had, but the river's looking great. And it's overcast all day. And yeah, it all looks really good for it. Let's just hope we can find a few more of these bigger chub through the day. I think both fish have come on bread flake so far. Well, got my second fish of the day. I think it's my 5th swim, but it's a doozy of a fish on the bread flake near a snag, overhanging tree. 6-pounder, 6.5. What a fabulous chub, look at that. Awesome creature. Big fat old chest on him, big belly, cracking fish. So that nice big chub was caught on the bread flake, liquidised bread in a little cage feeder. The same rig that you would have seen on other chub videos that I've posted in the past. Sort of 10-pound mainline straight through to a size 6 hook. But it's a case of just moving around and dropping baits in, and that bite didn't come very long after putting the bait out there in a new swim. So it's yeah, as is often the case, just keep moving around and hopefully you'll get a fish or two. So the fishing's quite hard, and as you can see, I've taken to squeezing into little spots and trying areas that wouldn't have been fished for a while, if at all, because sometimes that gets a bite or two when the normal swims don't work. There's been 4 anglers down this stretch today, and most of the obvious swims would have been fished by now, so trying something a little bit different might get me another fish. I know my mate Paul, he's very prolific with his chub fishing. He's had quite a few now. He's probably into double figures, I'd imagine. He's certainly had 3 5s, so he's doing really well, but I can't complain about a 6-pounder. Probably got, I don't know, 3 hours left maybe, so there's still plenty of time for a few more fish, to be honest. But I'm slowly working my way back along the beat and back towards the car. Starting to get a few like this now. Time to move, I think. And so it comes to the end of the day. Just going to give it 5 more minutes and then walk back to the car. Probably about a 30-minute walk back, to be honest. So I need to go before it starts getting too dark. But yeah, 4 fish I think I had. 3 little ones, and then that big tank of a chub, a 6-pounder, which was awesome. And then yeah, a couple of mates I was fishing with, they had a few fish as well. One of them had their 3 5s. I think he had 10 fish, Paul did, so he did great, and he always does when he comes down this stretch of the river, so good on him. Hopefully I'll get on the river again at some point in the week for just a short after work session. Try a different stretch, I think. Well, back on the Thames again, down a stretch that I bailiff, and I've got the pole saw with me today, as well as a bit of chub gear, and I'm gonna cut out a few, maybe 3 or 4 new swims along the stretch that I've been meaning to do for a long time. There's some nice spots with some sort of trees that have fallen into the water, branches in the water, a bit of cover that have been inaccessible but look really chubby. They've got to hold a few fish, or certainly got to be the home for a few chub, I reckon. So I'm gonna cut out the swims to make access to them, make them fishable, and to make it safe to land any fish if we can get them. I'll probably put a little bit of bait in once I'm done, and then move to the next swim and cut that out. I've got some old casters from a roach fishing trip. The maggers are starting to turn, so I'm going to just put a couple of handfuls of casters into the swims, and then leave them for a little bit, and then go back and just give them a go. I don't think I can expect to catch a lot of fish, given the amount of noise and disruption I'm going to cause, but you just never know. And yeah, I think it's worth a go. So anyway, let's get down to these areas, cut them out, put the bait in, and then give it a go, shall we? So first swim, and I've dropped the bait just on that crease, just on the faster side of the crease. I'm using one SSG on a link ledger, and I've just let it sort of bounce around and under that bush, and it's settled naturally. Put in just a couple of pea-sized bits of paste when I got here, before I rigged up and got the rod out. And we're going to give it sort of 15-20 minutes, and then we'll move. And we'll repeat, and hopefully we'll find a chub or two. It's bouncing that bread flake down and under that snag there. Just on the slack again. This is one of the swims that I cut out, and it'd be nice to get a fish out of it, to be honest. Looks very chubby. It's the first one out of the new swim that I've just cut out, so at least we know there's fish that visit the spot. So next time, hopefully, it's 5 or 6 times bigger than this one, but I'll take that for now. So it's been a tough couple of hours, just a short after work session, but I'm fishing a swim that I hacked out when I got here. Threw a few casters in, fished a few other swims and came back. 513, combination of bread flake and cheese paste. What a cracking fish though. So I'm fishing £10 straight through to a size 6 quarter wide gape hook. I've got a couple of float stops trapping a Drennan swivel bead, and I'll adjust those stops up and down the line to increase or shorten the hook link length, and also alter the gap between the two float stops. So it either is a sort of more bolt riggy kind of effect, or it's more free running. If the fish are really finicky, I'll increase that gap between the two float stops, so there's a lot more room for the fish to pick up the bait and move with it without it feeling anything at all. Bit of line coming off the swivel bead, lighter line than the main line, so if anything gets snagged, that's going to break before the main line does. And then this is something that not a lot of people do, but something I do sometimes when I'm fishing the link ledger, is I tie a loop and then put the shot onto a loop. And the reason I do that is because then it's much more easy to interchange between a couple of split shots and a feeder. I can just loop to loop a feeder onto there if I want to change quickly. So anyway, that's the rig. There's the hook bait. Like I say, a bit of cheese paste with the point of the hook exposed. Let's get it in the water and see if we can get a fish. So I've fished a few swims now, and yeah, it's pretty hard going. So I'm going to start smearing a bit of cheese paste onto the bread flake that I'm using. I've tried just the paste, I've tried just the flake, and I'm going to sort of mix it up now. Best of both worlds, which I do quite a lot, is a big old piece of flake and a smudge of cheese paste on it, so you've got the visibility and you've got the smell as well. So let's see if that gets me a bite, because yeah, I've had a few little ones, but nothing of any note at all. So let's see if we can find one of those bigger ones. Just keep moving around. Well, another little one. Pristine little fish. But I want some big ones really. So let's put this back and get that rod back out. I think I'll have another cast in this swim. Seeing as their bites are pretty hard to come by today. Well, it took a while, and after losing a big one earlier on in the day, I thought that was it, but this is a 6 pound 6 ounce chub on the cheese paste, and it makes the whole day's very challenging fishing very worth it. 6.6. Look at that big chunky chevin. Anyway, a bit of damage on the tail. Old damage, not new damage, but it looks like an otter's had it at some point. But what an awesome fish. Anyway, let's put it back and get that rod back out. Holy moly.